All right, everybody, this is your instructor, Jason Chapa. This is our 1321 multi-section weekly meeting. So we don't have too much planned for today because I'm not feeling too well, but I will be answering any questions that y'all have. I will also explain the next assignment that's due sometime next week, and I will be giving a brief lecture over a few concepts from Chapter 1. So let's go ahead and get started. First, I'd like to cover the next major assignment that is due next week, and that is going to be y'all's first journal. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Sorry about that. Now, the journal, pretty simple. You create the journal entry and you answer the 3 questions, being as detailed as possible. I've gotten a lot of questions about how long they should be, and usually it doesn't matter how long they're going to be. I prefer about 4 to 6 sentences, maybe even 3 to 5, whatever you feel would best answer the question that's asked. And the more professional experiences that you want to share about these, the better, because I want to see what y'all have gone through, and then I want to help y'all connect those experiences to what we talk about in the text. Now, the first question is based on your professional experiences. What type of communication must a successful leader demonstrate? One thing that I could say is that a successful leader must be able to adapt in terms of the different situations, the different types of people, and the different types of cultures and genders that a leader is going to deal with. A leader can't lead just one way. They have to lead as the situation deems fit. And we'll talk a little bit about situation and how that influences communication. So that's one thing I'd say. Another question would be, which principles of leadership seem the most important to you in regards to the real world? So I actually need to look at my notes real quick because I don't remember off the top of my hand what would be one of them. So give me 1 second. Now let's see. Principles. Okay. Now, what I think is most important, because here I'm going to go over I might as well just lecture a bit real quickly. The principles of leadership are the following. So the first principle is leaders are aware of their communication with themselves and others. Leaders effectively use and interpret verbal messages. They effectively use and interpret nonverbal messages. They listen and respond thoughtfully to others, and they appropriately adapt messages to others. So those are the 5 principles of leadership. I can give y'all my opinion, but I'd really hope y'all give me y'all's opinion on the subject. All right, I see people here. And in my opinion, the most important principle of leadership is listening and responding, because good leaders know what their followers need. They know when there's issues. They know when there's something that they need to do. And how do they know that? Because they listen and they appropriately respond. So, in my opinion, listening in a lot of different contexts is important. Leaders especially need to be good listeners, because if they don't, they tend to drift towards more being authoritarian listeners. One example of an authoritarian listener would be Steve Jobs. Rest in peace. Steve Jobs was a big micromanager when it came to everything, and he wanted his biography, which I still need to get to reading more of, to be warts and all. And yeah, there were some pretty terrible things he did when running Apple, but they were successful while he was running them, while he was there. So that's great that he was able to not kind of follow these principles. But then he passed away, and now Apple isn't doing so innovatively creative when they're going. I know they revealed the new AirPods this week, or today actually, I believe, and a lot of people on my Facebook are complaining about that, and I'm not the biggest fan either. But anyways, yeah. So the problem when you don't have a leader who knows how to adapt or listen to the people who are below him, who just demands followers, well, sure, they may be able to guide things when they're around, but if they don't set an important precedent when they are of leading and adapting and being able to listen to their underlings, their employees, everything's going to fall apart. So that's why my opinion, in several words, is why listening is the most, and responding is most important principle of leadership. So yeah, all right. Now the other question is, what is the difference between a manager and a leader in your opinion? Now let's go over some of the notes in regards to what that difference is, and let's discuss that. Well, I'll talk at y'all, and y'all can go ahead and post anything that y'all think. I look forward to reading y'all's responses so that we can have a bit more discussion of that. So there's a few points that the book mentions in regards to leading versus managing. Uh, Being a leader is about influencing others, even if you're not in designated leadership positions. What that means is that not all leaders have a title attached to them. Some leaders lead by example. Some leaders lead by doing, lead by functions that they serve. And as a result, they're really running the ship. Also, leaders are more concerned with the accomplishment of long-term goals rather than their personal short-term goals. So the reason why leaders are on the floor doing what they can is because they want to make sure it gets done. And if no one else is doing it, they'll be the ones to do it. And they can inspire a bit of admiration and respect by being in the trenches with their fellows. Now, managers, they're more about appointing those to coordinate and facilitate. So they're all about delegating tasks. They're all about not necessarily passing the buck, but seeing stuff that needs to be done and giving people stuff to do so that it pushes them forward. Not necessarily a bad thing, but the thing is, not all managing. I think in terms of when you're delegating, you have more of a chance of maybe losing track of the goal if you're having other people accomplishing it. Managers, though, keep things organized. Now, one drawback you could say of a leader being in there with the trenches trying to help everyone doing everything is that it may be harder to look at the big picture when you're at the same level with everybody and seeing what everyone else sees. Whereas in managers, by delegating and not having to worry about individual tasks, they can kind of see where everything's going. And managers also emphasize accomplishing specific tasks. So they are more, rather than being the big picture types, the long-term goals, they're more about, point A to point B to point C. So whichever one is better, that's a matter of opinion. I think that, companies, businesses, and organizations benefit from having both leaders and managers. Now, in terms of differences, managers become leaders when they take on more innovative tasks. So if a manager can be a leader and vice versa, leaders can also influence the group or organization in new creative ways. So leaders are the ones who try and get the people to think outside the box. Sorry for the buzzword. They try and get them to look beyond themselves, and rather than just focusing on the simple tasks at hand, they try on how we're going to do things. Leaders focus more on the why. So if we're going to sum up the difference between leaders and managers are more the how. How are we going to do this? Leaders are the why we're going to do this. And that's a good thing that I want y'all to kind of keep in mind when you're writing your journal article. So yeah, all you got to do is, in your opinion, so the more information you share, the more experience you share, just answer those 3 questions. That's the major thing. And I did do a brief little lecture over chapter 1 now too. So let me go ahead and see if any of y'all have any questions. So y'all are all here. That's good. Hello, everybody. Glad y'all are here. So let me see if there's anything else that I should cover. We covered the leadership principles. We covered differences between leaders and managers. I think that's it. I think we got everything done. There's one more thing I want to show you, though. Let me see if I can find the model to share. But one thing that you'll always go over in your various communications courses is the model of human communication, of which there are several parts. Let's see how we can apply that to. So give me one moment. Let's see how we can apply that to business and professional speaking. So let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. All right, and sorry for the weird look. I'll try and get that bigger. But in terms of communicating makes sense, and these are from your notes, you have the components of communication. Let's try and put these in perspective of the business and professional speaking courses. Okay, so you have the source, you have the originator of a message, you have the person who's trying to deliver something. So if the source could be a manager or leader, giving orders, they take whatever they're saying and through any specific behaviors, whether it's verbal or nonverbal, they send their message through a channel. And the channel is, how they're sending the message. It could be face to face. It could be through teleconferencing, like what we're doing right now. Of course, face to face would be in your more traditional classrooms where we're looking at each other. It could be through telephone, email, text, and so on. But they send that message to a receiver who then decodes the message. And more than just kind of, literally reading it, they get the meaning from the message. It's not just when you decode it, you're taking into account everything that's gone into it, the richness of a message and what that means. The receiver then provides feedback, which is their response. But the thing about human communication is that we're always kind of sending messages and always providing feedback because we are more transactive communicators. We're always broadcasting, we're always on. Even if you use something like silence, that's something that's very powerful in communicating messages. Finally, there's a context of a message. What that means is that that's the environment, that's the situation going all around the message. In terms of, and it's the stuff that happens outside the sender and receiver, the source and the receiver, that can affect the meaning that they get. For example, if you're giving a speech and it's in the morning and no one wants to be there because they had to wake up early, that's going to be a different context than if it's like say a 9 o'clock meeting at night. You're giving a message, and while everyone might be tired the same as they were in the morning, it's a different type of tired. Whereas in the morning they're just starting their day. At the end of the day, at the evening, they just want to leave. So all these things can influence messages. All these things can influence understanding and misunderstanding. And I just wanted to briefly cover that just so they all know each of the different parts. All right, so let's go ahead and see if there's any messages. All right, Munch has some. And see, I have questions. First of all, are we going to have study guide for exams? Okay, the exams are going to be, since they're kind of like take home, you'll do them on your own. You will be able to use your notes as well as the book. So you don't have to, so you don't have to, there's not going to be a study guide. The book as well as the notes are going to be the study guide. I'm going to skip your next question and go to the next one. As the final question contains from the beginning to then. Okay, let's see. Official raw munch. Let's go ahead, and what I want you to do is, maybe not today, but if you wouldn't mind, could you call me on the telephone, on my cell phone, and I'll go in detail explanation of all the different assignments just so I can maybe help you out and better understand them. I would recommend watching the first lecture or the first hangout that we did as well, because that one I do go over the assignments in a little bit more detail. And as we get closer to the due dates, I'll go over them. But if you don't want to wait, and I totally understand if you don't, give me a call. I'll go ahead and message you my number. It's also on Blackboard. Is the final question, the third question, is the final question contains from the beginning to the end? Yes, I'm not necessarily sure I understand. Just maybe private message me what exactly you're doing. You're getting second attempts. It depends. If I usually only give one attempt, but if people are getting errors or if there's some mistakes being made that are common, I may give y'all second attempts. I'm going to give second attempts at my discretion. In terms of the questions, I'm guessing you're talking about the journals. You just answer them in your opinion. There's no right or wrong answer. How long does a journal need to be, Brittany? About 3 to 4 sentences, not too long. Just make sure that you try and use your own personal experience that you've had on the job, in school, etc. Another question, how long is the video going to be for the sales pitch? About 5 to 10 minutes, depending on what you're exactly selling. Like I said, I'll give y'all more in-depth details and instructions as we get closer to that. And the deadline for those, for the interview resume missions, basically the way it's going to be scheduled is that you're going to have a major assignment due at the end of the month for pretty much each month. So go ahead and assume that you know that is going to be, there's a due date on Blackboard, which I'll load up the syllabus for the interview thing. That's going to be due at the end of October, right before Halloween, and towards the end that everything's going to go up. And you don't, okay, when you check in, all that means is send me a text, send me an email, tell me, hey, I'm here, I'm still in the class. That's all you got to do. So, okay, Munch, I'm sorry that if I kind of rushed through your questions. I didn't, like I said, give me a call maybe tomorrow sometime, and we can talk a little bit more in depth. I would say call me tonight, but it's getting late, and I'm pretty, again, not feeling too well. Okay, Brittany, I said, remember, you can just have about a paragraph per question, 3 to 5 sentences. The more you write, the better, but, you know, I know if you give me some good examples of what you've experienced or to back up what you're saying, that's all you need. Let me see if there's anybody logged in watching. No, but we do have 13 viewers. And there might be a typo on one of the questions. I get people saying, I got just a text for questions 3. Do we give each of the examples for all 7 elements of the speech, or the 7 elements for just one example? Just give one example. That's fine. You don't have to give multiple examples. You know, if you have a lot, like a few different examples, feel free, but you know, just 1 or 2 examples is fine. I really want to get your all's opinion on the material. That's the point of this. All right. So okay, it doesn't work. Okay, I'll message you my telephone number. I would put it up now, but this is open to the public forum, and I don't want my personal cell phone number being up. So if you could let me email you, and I'll go ahead and send you the message through there. So give me 1 second. I'll find your information. So if you could get on Blackboard and just say, hey, you know, it's me, Munch. Can you give me your email address or your number? I'll give you my number through Blackboard. Yes, it's okay to attach journal entries. So yeah, Munch, just email through Blackboard, email me saying, hey, I need your number to contact you, and I'll go ahead and give you my number and you can call me. And I'm sorry, you know, if my phone system wasn't working. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and mute it for now. I will answer any more questions that pop up, but that's about all I have today. I think hope it was informative for y'all. If y'all have any more questions or need any more help, feel free to call me, text me, message me. Probably not after 8. So, you know, if you don't mind saving your texts and calls for tomorrow, that'd be great. It is getting a little late, and I don't want my little one to wake up. But if you send me emails, I will answer them as quickly as I can get them. So I'm going to mute. We're probably going to stop broadcasting soon. Thank you for coming. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. And see you real soon, hopefully. And yes, Munch, it does count for the weekly check-in. So if you're here, well, this is going to be still available. So if y'all show up to the weekly hangout, I will definitely count this as your weekly check-in. But yeah, y'all have a great weekend. Hope to hear from y'all soon. Good luck with y'all's work. And again, any issues come up, anything y'all need help with, let me know, and I will do my best to accommodate for y'all. Thank y'all very much. Good night.